jumping into the unknown is kind of something that's a standard. I think that with a lot of times in the sport, things are kind of just like opportunities are presented and you're either like yes or no. So coming and moving out to Rhinos was definitely one of those times. But also another time was last year at Rhinos. We knew we were going on tour to South Africa to play against the South African national team and the Kenyan national team in Western Province for 15s. And maybe a couple days before we left, they were like, "Oh, would you guys mind moving out there for 3 months?" And we were like, "Whoa, okay, like I guess we're moving to South Africa now for 3 months." So we just said yes, and we got on the plane and we didn't look back. And it was honestly one of the best experiences of my whole life, just being in South Africa and experiencing not only the culture there, but the rugby culture and the people and the country. It's a beautiful country. Yeah, it's like my second home now. I feel like my heart is in South Africa.
Join me, Jeremy Swick, on Into the Unknown, a podcast that delves into the personal journeys, stories, and experiences of individuals across diverse professions. As a historian by trade, I firmly believe that our personal histories shape our present and offer valuable insights into our paths ahead. With that being said, let's get into it. On this episode of Into the Unknown, I am joined with Sophie Pyrz. How are you doing today, Sophie?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. It's rugby season. We're gearing up for nationals. I'm headed there next weekend to do some social media coverage, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that's awesome. You're going to get some good stuff. There's a lot of rugby going on right now, so you're in the action.
And we were just talking a little bit before we hit record. You got a lot of stuff going on too right now.
Yep. Yeah, living a double life a little bit. Training full time at Rhinos from Monday until Thursday mornings, and then flying up Thursday afternoons to the Bay to go play with Life West, train there Thursdays, and then play on Saturdays and do it all again next week.
It's a great experience, I'm sure, to have.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to like get competition with other teams and get different perspectives and have new teammates. And then it's like so reliable, and just knowing that you're making progress and getting better with the full-time training and seeing that directly translate on the weekends in the game time is like a perfect experience.
Sophie, I love that you mentioned it. I think so. It's such a great impact to go and play other places outside of your home club or what you're used to, because you see different styles of play and you just see
Mm-hmm.
different levels even.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what's cool about being here at Rhinos too, is there's so many different opportunities. Like last year we went to Fiji, to South Africa. We got to play with a local club here, Belmont Shore, earlier this year. And just being exposed to all these different countries and how different rugby culture is in these different countries and different teams is so cool. It's such like an amazing experience.
Sophie, I love that. I can't wait to get more into your story, but I always like to kick off the show with networking and talk the importance of it. And it's funny, I think we got connected on social media, but in the rugby world, we're never too far apart from anyone.
No, that's for sure. I mean, I have teammates from different countries all over, and like that's the amazing thing about rugby is such a small world, and it makes the world small. So social media or playing together or whatever, wherever you meet each other or once you meet each other, it's like rugby family.
I love it. And I've realized, even talking with people I've interviewed in the past, I have friends that I played with years ago reach out to me like, oh, hey, we played together. My cousin, who also plays rugby, stood up in his wedding or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just fun, small world.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so cool. And it's cool. Like, I've had people come into the program from other countries and they'll be talking about one of their teammates. And I'm like, oh, I know them. They're like, literally, how do you know them? I'm from South Africa. So it's always funny how small the rugby world really is.
Sophie, I love that. I want to jump in and give me that comic book issue #1, that origin story. Who are you?
I'm Sophie Pyrz. I was born and raised in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, which is like a small suburb outside of Philadelphia. I have an older brother, and I grew up with my two parents. And my brother's like 7 years older than me, so we would always wrestle, and I would get beat up, which I think later on is why I enjoy rugby a little bit. And I grew up doing all kinds of sports. I swam for a lot of my lifetime. I played soccer, softball, basketball, tried tennis. Like I really tried it all, but my main sport was soccer. So I played on the same travel soccer team for like years and years. And then one year in the middle of the season, I got cut from that team because they said I was too small to be physical and competitive. And at that point, my later on best friend, I didn't know the girl at the time, but she sent me a Facebook message. Her name's Dana. She's like, "Hey, like you look athletic. Do you want to play rugby?" And I was like, "Yes, that's perfect. Like I'm gonna show them I'm physical. Like doesn't matter how small I am." So yeah, now Dana's like my lifelong best friend, and she threw me into this crazy rugby journey that I've been on now for 12 years. So it's kind of my origin story and how I got started with this.
Sophie, I love that. What got, besides the physicality, what drove you to rugby? Did you know anything about it beforehand?
No, I brought my parents to a game because they were like, "We don't know what this is. Like, let's go check it out before you commit to anything." And I had no idea. And I saw people go into a ruck, and like the smallest player was on the ground, and I was like, "Look, they're like protecting her, so I'm gonna be fine. Like, can I please play?" Later on, I learned that that's not what they were doing, but it worked in the moment, and I got to play.
Now, was that in like high school, middle school?
Middle school, yeah.
Oh wow! So you started really early. That's impressive. Did you see success on the pitch right away, or was it a learning curve?
It's always a learning curve. But I think that growing up playing so many sports and like playing soccer for so long, the field vision really helped translate. So it didn't take me long to figure it out. And I started to, see more and more success in high school. And eventually our team ended up winning state championship, which was huge for us in Pennsylvania and making Pennsylvania all state team, which like had a big tournament against all the other local state teams. So yeah, lots of really jumped into it and started to see success because my skills translated pretty well.
I love that. So you leave high school. Was the plan to go to college and play rugby, or was that just something? Did you have that in mind? I guess.
Yeah, that was definitely in my mind. I don't think it was like a necessarily a driving thing, me going and playing rugby in college. Like I did want to play, but I wasn't necessarily looking at colleges just to go play. And I was looking at like 14, 15 different schools, and I did not like Penn State because everyone from my area went to Penn State, and I was like, I'll never go there. And then I went on a rugby visit and like stepped on the campus and immediately fell in love. So there I was, like going to Penn State.
What was that experience like, switching from high school to or college rugby? I know it's quite different.
Yeah, it was definitely an adjustment for me, just with the playing styles. Because in high school, it was very much like you have the forwards and you hit the forwards, and then there's a back line somewhere that eventually you go and hit. And so it was really hard for me to grasp onto the concept that the forwards are in front of the backs now, and the backs are interchanged like right behind the forwards, and you can play together and hit balls out the back. And that took me a pretty long time to figure out, but I had some pretty patient teammates that were, teaching me things behind the scenes and helping me like understand what new sport I was playing.
How long did you spend in college? I guess honing your craft.
Yeah. So during college, I played for 4 years, 5 years, but COVID hit my fifth year. So that was a shame because it shut down my senior season. And I also during the summers I would go to an academy called American Rugby Pro Training Center and train full time there. And so just like go straight from being in season in sevens in college to training full time, back straight into preseason, and do that for my 4 years at Penn State.
That is a large amount of workload, I can imagine.
Yeah, but I just like the idea of being able to work on what I love all the time and continue to get better. I'm someone that like loves growing and getting better, and I like being the best. Like I love competing and trying to be my best, so I can be like at the top of my game. And I guess that really started off in college, going and training at ARPTC and like getting the experience for high performance programs.
I think it gives you a different level of obviously commitment, but I think understanding of the game too. I mean, I can imagine with even talking to coaches and things like that, just small little pieces to your tool belt that you can use and then look back or think back when you're playing.
Oh, 100%. And I like right now, I think that's a lot of the reason that some teams in WPL are finding success and other teams are struggling a little bit, because I think I understand the importance of like the small details and how getting all those little details right will help the big picture be right. And I think that really just comes from getting to have all the experience of training full time and like gaining my IQ and perfecting all of my little tools and continuously working on my little tools and seeing the bigger picture like come together.
Completely agree. So COVID year, what happens after you leave Penn State?
Oh, COVID year, it was a mess. I was so sad. I couldn't play anymore. I had the opportunity to go to grad school in England and play at a school over there called Durham. So I recruited a bunch of my friends, and then last minute I was like, I don't think I want to do that. And Coach Rosalind Chow at Life University offered for me to come down there to do grad school for 1 year and get to play my last year of eligibility because we got a COVID year back. So I ended up going to LifeU. All of my friends went to Durham, England, and then I ended up going to LifeU. And it was a great experience because not only was the rugby great, and it was cool to experience two different programs because Penn State always competed with Life University like pretty head to head. So it was cool to go and join that program and see the differences. And also, I got my master's there, and I had no idea what I wanted to do like as a career, and that like really inspired me, and I found my passion in that. I studied positive psychology, but part of that was leadership consulting, and then I realized how passionate I was about leadership and cultures within organizations. So that's kind of the career path that I'm heading down eventually. Like I'm working smallly at it, but really focusing on the rugby right now.
I can imagine. I always tell people with life in Marietta and Atlanta. So I lived in Atlanta for a number of years and
Hmm.
trained against and with a lot of those life guys. And again, it's just that level. And I'm sure you experienced it at Penn State as well. And they were where they were supposed to be, so you could focus on what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, playing at higher level programs, you really can just do your role. Like sometimes I feel like on the field I'd be like, I didn't do anything. And people would be like, because you only did your job, like you didn't have to do six other people's jobs. So I completely agree. It's a great little rugby hub down in Atlanta, and there's so many opportunities for people to play of any age or like any gender.
It's so true. There's a team and a kind of a position and a spot for everyone. That's one thing I appreciated about the community in Atlanta for rugby, especially.
Yeah, definitely.
What did you study in undergrad out of curiosity?
Well, I started studying mechanical engineering, and I shortly found out that that was not for me. I hated chemistry. It was not it was not going to be a good match. So I shifted into I got my major in psychology and then a minor in kinesiology, thinking maybe I wanted to do like sports psych and not really sure where I was headed with that. So then getting my master's in positive psychology just gave me like a whole new door of options that I could pick from, and the leadership consulting was like really something that I like took personally and that I found a passion in.
It's so interesting what draws you to what you end up doing or what you end up starting to pursue. If you could describe what positive psychology is, could you?
But I think like for me now, positive psychology is knowing that positivity comes from an awareness of like all of the emotions and like a self-awareness and an organizational awareness. I think that positive psychology is not necessarily just looking at the positive parts of psychology, but also acknowledging the negative parts and how you can like use those or make those better or find positives within like the things that aren't so positive. So I think currently that would be my definition.
Sophie, I love that outlook. It's the range of emotions and I think range of experiences that really make us
Hmm.
who we are.
Yeah, 100% agreed.
So fast forward, you get done at life. What's next on your rugby career?
No idea. See, this is like the unknown part. And rugby's cool like that because I think the sport of rugby is kind of like the into the unknown. So I moved back home and I was like, oh, I need to find a job. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I got a text from one of my old coaches from PR7s. His name is Robin McDowell. And he was like, hey, like Frankie's going to call you for an opportunity. And I was like, I have no idea who Frankie is, but like, okay, thanks. I'm excited. And then soon enough, I get a call from Coach Frankie Horn at Rhinos, and he's like, "Hey, like we want you to move out here to California. We're gonna be training full time. It's gonna be a sevens program, so let me know if you want to come." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I want to come. Like, I don't even need to think about it. I'll pack my car right now and leave." so, super spontaneous. I think I drove across the country maybe like a week or two after that phone call and moved out here and started training with Rhinos.
That's incredible. I think, on everyone's path, and I think that might be the answer, but on everyone's path, you make a decision going east, going west, and you go for it and jumping into the unknown. Can you give me a time you did that?
Yeah, I mean that moving to Rhinos. I think like in rugby, like I was just saying, jumping into the unknown is kind of something that's a standard. I think that with a lot of times in the sport, things are kind of just like opportunities are presented, and you're either like yes or no. So coming and moving out to Rhinos was definitely one of those times, but also, another time was last year at Rhinos. We knew we were going on tour to South Africa to play against the South African national team and the Kenyan national team in Western Province for 15s. And maybe a couple days before we left, they were like, "Oh, would you guys mind moving out there for 3 months?" And we were like, "Whoa, okay, like I guess we're moving to South Africa now for 3 months." So we just said yes, and we got on the plane and we didn't look back. And it was honestly one of the best experiences of my whole life, just being in South Africa and experiencing not only the culture there, but the rugby culture and the people and the country. It's a beautiful country. Yeah, it's like my second home now. I feel like my heart is in South Africa. So it's definitely unknown. Definitely not so sure because you hear about South Africa sometimes and like people are like, "Oh, you're going to get stabbed." But you just get on a plane and move there and find out for yourself.
I love that outlook, and I think so much, as you mentioned, with rugby and rugby culture is just embracing that unknown. You don't really know how it's going to turn out, and I tell people you don't really know the other side too. If you don't go to South Africa, it's I think it's that exciting part about life.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I definitely used to be more of a planner. I like to, know things before they happen or have a 5 year plan. And I think that's something that, especially once I left college, just kind of got thrown out the window. And I've really learned to go with the flow and take all of the opportunities that come my way and just like embrace whatever that means and whatever lessons and experiences that I'm going to get from that.
I love that outlook. So, title of the podcast, Into the Unknown. What are you working on now? What I know you're out in California. You said you just played not too long ago, and you're staying busy.
Yeah, staying busy. Yeah, I'm just training full time, working really hard at this WPL season. It's been a long time since I've been in season for 15s. So I've really been enjoying, working with the girls, seeing how the team is going from the beginning of the season, building towards the middle of the season, working towards the end of the season, and just working on all of my stuff back here at Rhinos. I also have a job here at Rhinos, and it's a college application pathway. So people will apply into the program, and I'll help them, get in touch with college coaches, find colleges that are good fits with them, make sure they have all their application stuff put together, and like just kind of walk them through the whole process. So I'm working on that now, some new developments with that, and really just enjoying like mentoring people through the process and hoping that they can find their feet in a journey like I have. And rugby has brought so much to my life and has made my life a completely different experience than it would have been if I wasn't playing. So any way that I can help people with their journey or find their feet or give them some direction or some advice is really rewarding for me. So just working on that and working on my craft of rugby and continuing to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, and see the unknown of what's going to happen in the next couple months, where I'm going to be living, what I'm going to be doing. Yeah, just everything's kind of into the unknown, but really just enjoying all of that.
Sophie, I love that. I think a lot of times when you live a life that is the unknown, sometimes maybe internally there's a little excitement, maybe a little nerves, but I think for me at least, it's riding that roller coaster. It's exciting. It's less scary than maybe the first time you make a decision and not knowing. And now it's like, all right, I don't know the answer. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. And I think all of my best life experiences have come from, the unknown and from things that are unexpected or not really having a plan. So I've just learned to enjoy it and ride the ride, ride the wave, go with whatever's happening, and make the most of it.
So, Sophie, if you had a piece of advice for women and men looking to get into rugby or get started or make a career out of it, what piece of advice would that be?
I think like out of my journey, the biggest thing is just taking all of the opportunities. Like my friend Jenny was just at Rhinos and she said like bet on yourself. So even if you don't believe that you can do it or you're not sure if you should do it, just bet on yourself and like take that first step to doing whatever you need to do. Whether you need to talk to someone to find out about experiences or opportunities that you can get, or if someone's offering you opportunities and you're not sure if you should do it, just do it. Like just do it and back yourself and have faith in yourself and trust that you can do it. It's going to be hard and you need to put hard work in, but yeah, just to bet on yourself.
I love that. People want to learn more, watch more about your journey. Where can they find you on social media?
Mostly on Instagram. My handle's at Sophie Pyrz. I'm not a big TikTok girl. I watch TikToks, don't make them. So I think if people are trying to get in touch or anything, Instagram's probably the best way to do it.
I love that. I want to thank you for your time. It's exciting to kind of see your journey from afar. Now that we know each other, I'm just excited to watch more of the WPL and just kind of see how the journey unfolds.
Yeah, thank you. I know I'm excited to see you out and about at the tournaments and stuff. Just like we said, rugby's a small world, so I'm sure we're gonna cross paths.
Can't wait. We'll talk soon.
All right, thank you so much.
That was another fun episode of Into the Unknown. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. And if it provides you any value or entertainment, I would love if you shared it with others, liked, subscribed, and really just help the podcast grow. Again, tell a friend, tell a foe, just anyone who might enjoy hearing some stories of people's own journeys and what got them to where they are today. Till next time.